Ring, ring. Hi, sir. I would like to place an order for 1,500 meals. Yes, I want 750 jerk chicken, and then I want 750 brown stew chicken with rice and peas as well, and I want that delivered. I need them by today. We are celebrating, and it is huge. Sir, today is a celebration day. I have just published my 1,500 podcast episode. It's been crazy, and I want to celebrate. I want to feed a bunch of people, and I want to give you guys some money for that. Please help us. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist podcast. I'm your host, your coach, your mentor, Mr. Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited for this episode. I'm so excited that you're here today because today, do you know what today is? Do you know what today is? We celebrate 1,500 episode. That doesn't rhyme, but you get it. We're celebrating 1,500 episode, and I'm here to tell you thank you because it's because of you, because you're listening to this podcast, you're recommending this podcast, you're telling your friends about this podcast, you're sharing this podcast. Because of all of that, it's gotten us to where we are today, and I'm super excited, and I want to tell you, I just want to tell you that from the bottom of my heart. Now, today, we're going to do something a little bit different on this episode. We have the video. If you're watching the video, I appreciate you. If you're not watching the video, listen to the podcast. It's going to be cool. But what we're going to do, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to pull out some principles, 5 principles that has been very helpful towards my career as a sales professional, towards my business, towards my personal life. And hopefully these can help you in your sales efforts and in your life altogether. We're going to play some episodes from content from some of our past episodes, and we're going to have a really good time. Now, I just want to tell you, I didn't order that Jamaican food. If you're hungry, I encourage you to go order some of your own Jamaican food. But it would be cool to deliver food to all of you. Now, I'm sure there's more than 1,500 of you listening. However, the concept is the same. So grab some, if you have water on your desk, some kind of, your favorite beverage, or maybe some food, and let's just sit back and relax and enjoy this episode together. Now, the first thing I want to tell you guys about is the concept, the first one, and I wrote them down too. I came with some notes today because I wanted to make sure this was going to be good. The first principle is just getting started. Number 2, this one comes back to the idea of selling. Like we often think that selling has changed, and I thought selling has changed. We still have different tools, but we still have the same capabilities of doing that. We're going to talk about that, and I think it's important because since I started this podcast in 2013 to now, I'm implementing the same concepts. I've changed the way maybe I have executed it, but the principle of selling is still the same. And I'm going to play an episode that hopefully that can tie back to and help you. Another principle we're going to talk about is winning the morning. I love this one. So that's number 3. Another one is number 4. I love this one. This one is from Jill Conrath. And Jill Conrath shared this idea of learning to be agile. How can we learn in the environment that we're in? And then the 5th principle come back from something that I've learned about our network and how your net worth will directly tie to your network. So do you have a network that you're working? And if not, how you can fix that? So let's go ahead and dive into the first one. I'm going to play a clip or play an audio from one of my way long ago episodes. And just listen to it.
Episode number 1. Get ready for amazing. Welcome everyone to the Sales Evangelist podcast with your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. I am so stoked to be launching this episode today. Episode number 1 is something we've been waiting for a very, very long time. For those who have been following the blog, thank you. We started from the bottom and now we're here. For those who are visiting for the first time and listening, welcome to the show, and I hope that you continue to follow this amazing production. For those who are not familiar with the Sales Evangelist, just a quick update. The show is very simple. When I started in sales, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I still don't know everything. So I started interviewing top sales experts who were able to share wonderful advice that I've been able to implement, and I've seen a significant difference in my income. I want to make sure that I share that with others, so I started this podcast. Ever since I was a kid, I loved evangelizing, meaning I love to spread the word about something good. And I've done that from everything you think about since in sports, to the college I went to where I was an ambassador, to all the different products I've sold. Whenever I found value, I always love sharing that. So if you find value in the information that we provide, please take that, apply it, and you'll see the difference that it makes in your income as well.
Ooh, that was crazy, right? It felt like cringeworthy. If you heard the way I articulated, the way I said things, it's really hard to go back and listen to episode number 1 compared to episode number 1500. And oftentimes, though, that's the problem that we have. So many of us, we're listening to someone's episode 1500, and then we're judging our episode number 1 based on that. You're not Gary Vee. You're not Jill Conrath. You're not Martha Stewart. You're not Steve Harvey. You're not Marie Folio. You're not any of those people. But what tends to happen is that we're so critical of ourselves. And especially with social media, it could be a challenge these days. And you might look at some of the top performing sellers on your team, and they've been selling for 15, 20, 30, 40 years, and they've been killing it, doing an amazing job. But we're looking at their performance after working in this craft, developing a craft for so long. And then we look at this as our day one, and we want to compare ourselves. And you can't. It's so different. The key, though, is that their day one started 30 years ago. Your day one starts right now. You just need to act. And when I go back and listen to episode number 1 there, and I listen to that, I'm just like, oh my goodness, what was I thinking? I'm grateful, though, that I did start. I'm grateful that I did. Because after doing the episode and doing that intro 1,500 times, I've been able to perfect it, so to speak. I've been able to master it. I've been able to work with the camera and work with the audio and be able to improve my game. And the same thing happened to my sales career. Like when I first started off selling, when I first started doing this podcast, or even before that, I wasn't that great at what I was doing. I mean, just being straight up with you. But I've been able to fine-tune my craft. And over that time, I've been able to improve. So my number 1 tip that I'll tell you from doing 1,500 episodes, just start. That's it. Don't worry. Don't compare yourself to someone's 30 years, or don't compare yourself to my 1,500 episode or my 1,500th episode. Compare yourself to your number 1. Did you start? And that's the important part. Number 2, has sales changed? This is something that I thought. I interviewed Jeb Blunt a while back on a podcast, and over the course of the past, 8 years since we've been doing this podcast, since I've been able to interview experts, interview sales reps, interview authors, interview all types of individuals when it comes to sales, I like the answer that Jeb gave, because I thought that selling changed back then, but since that, my perspective has adjusted, and it ties back to Jeb's answer. Listen to what he says. The way we sell has evolved, tremendously changed. But the principles are the same. What can a professional do to keep up with this evolution of selling, so to speak?
So that's a great question, and here's I'm going to give you a counterpoint.
Sure.
I don't think the way we sell has evolved at all.
Okay.
I think the way that we sell is the same as we were selling when we were Egyptians in the desert selling pyramids and camels. Because I think that the reality is that that we still go through similar processes. We still connect with people. We still solve people's problems. We still ask them to do business with us. And if you think about sales from this standpoint, all sales is one person solving another person's problem. Now, what has changed are the tools and the information that we can get. Now, I don't know how old you are, but you sound like you're young to me. Okay, so I'm what they call an old fart, and so I can remember when there wasn't such thing as a CRM. So, and this is, early to mid 90s. This was when, the Salesforce.coms of the world were just emerging, when companies like Goldmine were just emerging on the scene. So I remember working with my company and building the very first CRM for our sales organization. And we did it from scratch. We built it on our own, which nobody codes their own CRM these days unless they've got a death wish. So, but we had, I had a big old notebook that was a 3-ring binder. It was about, 8 to 12 inches thick. It had little tabs in it, and I would go through that and call people up and go call on them. And so how is that any different than what we do today? Except for today, we got this really cool thing called the internet. And we've got LinkedIn, and we've got Google, and we've got Yahoo, and we've got Bing, and we've got CRMs, and we can do research with people, and we can connect with them, and we can engage them in a million different ways. So sales, the way we sell has not so much evolved, but the way we interact with people has evolved tremendously because people expect more of us when we show up on their doorstep than, hey, how you doing? My name's Jeb. Can I ask you some questions? And that's just because what's really changed is what the buyer's expectations are.
I would agree with Jeb wholeheartedly. Now, the reason why, if you think about this, buyer's expectation has evolved. Now, the way that people are buying right now, a lot of them are trying to get the same type of level of care that that they're getting from Amazon online. And it's not always that easy to deliver in a B2B setting. And that's what I talked about in one of our recent podcast episodes. Think about your buyers. Think about the way that they're purchasing. Think about the way that they're behaving. Are you understanding their consumer, the way that they're consuming things? And can your company, your B2B organization match that? And if you could bring that level of sophistication or that level of expectation to the table, I think you're going to be pretty successful in your role as a B2B seller. And that's one of the most powerful principles that I've taken away from all of these podcast episodes. Now, number 3 is another one that I love the guy in the first place. This is Mr. Justin Sua, and we've had Justin on a podcast, and back in episode number 7. One of the things that I've learned ever since way back then that applies right now is that one of the big areas that salespeople have struggles with, and it's not just sellers, it's any type of human being, is managing your time. It's going after the things that matter the most. And in particular, as a sales rep, sometimes we tend to focus on things that don't matter so much, or things that are not top priority. Listen to what Justin says and see how this can help you in your efforts.
Winning in the morning, the basic principle behind it is starting strong. And there's something about it. A lot of people complain that there's not enough time in the day. There's not enough hours in the day. And the problem is not necessarily that there's not enough time, is they're wasting their time. And a lot of times what we need to do is we need to start strong. Win the morning. The thing about the high performers is they're able to do hard things. And one of the hard things is getting up early when nobody else does. And not just getting up just to kind of lay in bed, but to get up and to be active. I think I've heard Anthony Robbins say once, or Tony Robbins, he says, taking a tremendous movement or just a tremendous effort to go towards your goals. And when you wake up in the morning and you tell your body, I'm going to get up when my body wants to sleep, you are practicing dominating your body. You are telling your body to do something that your body doesn't want to do. And as you do that over and over and over again, you're going to be able to train yourself to do difficult things, to make that hard sale when you don't want to pick the phone call. You're going to train yourself, pick up the phone call, because you've been doing it so much in the morning. And so it comes, and another thing as well is making that first decision. When you're either going to decide to sleep and procrastinate or to get up out of bed and to do that difficult thing. And that's why winning the morning is so important, because you start off in control, taking control, and with that first decision in your own hands, say, you know what, I'm going to do this and I'm going to attack the day.
Attacking the day, winning the morning. Now, Justin goes on to further talk about that winning the morning doesn't necessarily have to mean you have to get up at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. You just need to, whenever you get up, make sure you tackle the most important things first. Now, as a seller, are you doing that? Are you focusing on prospecting? Because I know a lot of you don't like prospecting. You got to put prospecting top of mind. And I've lost deals and I've lost opportunities because I neglected those things that I needed to focus on. Getting the client the information that they needed, being prompt, keeping my word. A lot of those things I did not do, and as a result, it made me look bad. I don't want you to fall into that category. So I encourage you to make sure whatever you do with your prospects, with your clients, take care of those most important things first. Put the things that are going to help move your deals forward first. And don't spend all your time doing research. It's important, but maybe not the top priority item. And that's one of the most powerful things that I learned from these podcast episodes. Number 4 goes to the one and only Miss Jill Conrath. Now, I love Jill Conrath, and when I brought her on the podcast, I was super excited that she said yes, because I was a groupie. I was following her online and loved everything that she was sharing. Just absolutely loved it. So I figured, you know what? Let's see if Jill will humor me and come on our podcast. And I reached out to her, and she said yes, and she came on the show. Now, what Jill shared here was it was after she'd written her book, the idea, the Agile Selling, and the concept here is that salespeople need to look for ways to be agile. Kind of going back to what Jeb said, matching the prospect and giving to them the way that understanding the way that buyers are buying and giving to them the things that they need the most, the way that they're purchasing. Learning, understanding, and adapting. She says it so much better than I can. Hear what she says here.
I write books about challenges that I see. And one of the biggest challenges that I see right now is how difficult it is to stay on top of everything. And actually, after Snap Selling came out, people said to me, this book is so helpful. I'm really figuring out how to work with crazy busy buyers. But Jill, I'm crazy busy too, and what can you do for me? And at first I thought, well, I am not a time management expert. That's not my strength. Now, the more I thought about it, the more I kept hearing it. And the more I kept seeing all the stuff that people had to learn and keep up to date on, I went, oh my goodness, of all the things I am that I've never even recognized about myself is that I am a rapid learner. I know how to help people learn new stuff faster. Mm-hmm. And that is a skill. It's a meta skill. And so Agile selling is really about how to get up to speed on anything sales related as fast as humanly possible so you can be effective in your job. And it's about the mindset and the skills and the discipline of being an agile learner so you can be highly relevant to your prospects.
Yes, being an agile learner so you can be highly relevant to your prospects. Think about that. Just think about that. If you can do that, what Jill shared there, imagine how better your performance will be. Now, I tell you guys to personalize. I tell you guys to sell the way your buyers buy. You get these things mentally or conceptually, you understand it. But now let's think about how this all wraps up together. That's being agile. You can sell the same way that you have or you've sold to your buyers. Principles of selling don't change. The way that we sell, as Jeb shared, doesn't change. However, the way that the buyer's expectation has evolved, and that's what we need to come back to. So this is where I come with things like personalization or utilizing LinkedIn or going to where the buyers are, omni-channel approach. All of these concepts can fall under those categories. Utilizing the snail mail, like treating and getting to your buyers in a creative way. It requires you to be agile as a seller. You can't execute the same exact tactics that you did back in 1972 and expect to be successful today. You can't execute the same exact tactic you did back in 2013 and expect to do the same today. It has enhanced. I'm not a hater on the phone. I love the phone. I use the phone all the time. Phone made me money. Phone was successful today, and I'll tell you that story in a little bit. But the phone is absolutely effective. In addition to the phone, selling the same way, helping people persuade themselves, you need to utilize other means, and that's why we see a huge tick in tools like LinkedIn voice messages nowadays and video. It's allowing us to be able to have different means to help get to the buyer and to give them what they want and being agile. One of the ways that you can improve your agility as a seller is reading more books and studying. I encourage you to take daily effort to make time each day to study content that's going to help you in your craft. Understand the way the buyers are buying. You can go to the buyers, their trade industry magazine or the books that they're reading, and take that information and use that in your own efforts to be more effective in your role as a seller. Because you're gonna understand where they're coming from, and that's going to help you to be able to deliver according to the needs that they have. It's the platinum rule, really. Treat others the way that they want to be treated. Be agile enough to be able to adapt towards that. Number 5, your net worth is as great as your network. Let me say that one more time. Your net worth is going to be as great as your network. And you can flip it. Your network will equal your net worth. I want you to have a tremendously successful network. And I'm thankful for LinkedIn and the avenue to be able to utilize that. Here's why LinkedIn has been so effective for me. People collect connections on LinkedIn like Pokemon cards. They just want to connect with a bunch of people and just have them floating around. We don't want to do that. We want to connect with people and to build genuine relationships. Figure out when people's birthday, LinkedIn tells you, when they have work anniversaries, or just reaching out to them and just saying hi. If you can be that person and to connect with your prospects, I promise you, I can tell you hands down, you're going to see a huge spike, a huge increase in your opportunity to grow business because your network is going to be active. You can have somebody with like 20,000 connections on LinkedIn and 50,000 followers or whatever you want to call it. But if they have only, 100 people that they actually really genuinely connect with, that shows that number is just inflated. That it's just bogus number. Go back to someone that actually connects with people. They try their very best. And if you can't do this on your own, you can utilize tools to be able to do this. But how can you really connect with individuals? You can purchase some of those programs that can send out birthday cards or send out anniversary cards or just sending a message on LinkedIn. That's an easy one. Or just, again, like checking in. If you took the time to say maybe 10 people a day, you're going to send a little personal message to on LinkedIn, a voice message in your network. That's going to go a long way because you're genuinely seeking to build connection. Now, you probably can't sit down and connect with 20,000 people over the course of the year, but you're actively working that network. People know you. They're going to see you. You pop up in their feed. And that means so much to someone that they can say, yeah, I know Barbara. I know Liz. I know Amber. I know Jake. I know Joseph. I know Reggie. I know these individuals. And that makes a huge connection. So now when you go for an ask or an introduction or withdrawal, I call it, from the deposits that you've made over the years, they're going to be more than willing to help you with that withdrawal or that ask, essentially, because you have been there for them and you've helped them. So see, as it talks about into how to win friends and influence others, help enough people get what they want and you're going to get what you want in life. But it comes down to having that genuine network. I want to show you something real quick. If you're watching the video, you can see this. This is Success Magazine. This is our November and December issue in 2021. And your boy right here, look at that. This is for, mimicking my book. Obviously the Sales Evangelist brand, but the book there is the mango is there for Sell It Like a Mango. I got featured in Success Magazine, and all this came from the people that I know in my network. A friend of mine, she was talking to them, and they said they're looking for someone and in the sales arena, and I fit the bill, and she's like, you need to connect with Donald Kelly. And then I had my friend Jared easily encourage me to start this podcast in the first place, and I listened to my network, and I worked with him. I help Jared in many different ways, not with the desire to get something. I help my friend who introduced me to these folks, and I didn't ask for anything in return. It was just being genuine and being helpful. Because of those people having trust in me, because of the connection we've built with that network, it led to this opportunity. Think about your network. Who do you have that you haven't connected with? Do you have a Success Magazine article out there? Do you have $1 million deal out there? And the answer is you probably do, but you need to work your network. Those are the 5 things that I'll tell you that I've taken away from producing 1,500 episodes. And I can have this list go on. And this is just like, I feel like I'm barely scratching the surface and giving you injustice because there's so many other principles that we've taken away. And if you want to listen to some of those episodes, just go back in. If you're watching this podcast, if you're listening to this podcast and you want to see that article for Success Magazine, go in the show notes and you can go back to some of our social media and you can see some of those pictures that we posted. And you can find it also by checking it out at successmagazine.com. I just want to tell you thank you so much. I hope these principles helped you. I hope this 500th episode helped you. 1,500 episode helped you. I said 500 earlier. 1,500 episode has helped you. It has been a heck of a journey, and we're just getting started. What we're planning for 2022, it's going to be good. I'm super stoked for that. And I want to take you along for this journey. If you know somebody else that should be listening to this podcast, please go ahead and recommend them. Listen, just tell them, send them the link. Have them subscribe to this podcast. Share the video with them. Let them know that you appreciate them so much and that you want to build your connection with them, that you're bringing them value. That would be greatly appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please leave us a rating and review. That goes a long way. As always, I share stuff like this because I want to help you. We talk about our sponsors and the folks that help us with these shows because they help me, and I like their tools. I'm not going to recommend something to you that I don't use. And the sponsors that we have right now, I use their solution. I like it and I recommend it, and I've connected with them to give you a great bargain, a great deal. So I want you to check them out. Go back to the show notes, connect with our sponsors, and let them know that Donald sent you. As always, I want you to find more ideal customers. I want you to know what to say when you reach out to them. I want you to close more deals. And we're working towards the 2,000th episode. We're going to get there. Most importantly, I want to challenge you to raise your level of thinking and go out and do big things. Thank you so much. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video today. If you enjoyed the content, I ask you to go ahead and hit that like button, that thumbs up at the bottom right-hand corner. Also, to make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. This way, we'll keep you up to date with all the latest sales strategies, latest tools, and things that are going to help you to not only find more prospects, but to close more deals. Thanks so much.